Presentation of the audit. Mr. How do you say it? Maku?
Mako.
Mako?
Yep.
I know, because isn't that French?
It's, so,
What?
it's Belgium.
Belgium.
Yep.
Okay. Curious. I was just curious.
Yep, no. So, okay, each of you should have a copy of the annual financial report and the separate attachment, which is our communication to the village board. So if we get into the bound document, this is the annual financial report of the village. If we turn to starting on page 1, page 1 is what we call our independent auditors report. So this is our report to the village board. The first paragraph talks about the financial statements contained within this document. Is the financial statements of your governmental activities, business type, and each major fund. And so all the financial activities of the village are included in this audit report. Second paragraph is really an indication that this, the report here that you have in front of you comes directly from your financial records. So it's the same information you get on a monthly basis. We look at the entire year and do the audit of the entire year's transactions. Our responsibility is isolated in the next 3 paragraphs. So our responsibility is to provide an audit opinion on the results of operations of the village for the year ended December 31st. So we do perform tests of transactions, sample transactions throughout the year to allow us to conclude in the opinion paragraph that we indicate in our opinion, financial statements so that is what we would call a unmodified opinion, which means we would make no modification. The rest of the report, pages 2 and 3, talk about there's additional information related to the prior year audit report, so there are comparative information. A complete audit for 2018 is available, but wasn't included in this document, but the information that is included in this document is consistent with your 2018 financial report. And then it indicates that there's some other required communications that are contained in this report. So if we turn to page 4, 5, and 6 are what are known as your government-wide financial statements. What that means is it presents the village as if you were a full enterprise business. It's separated into 2 categories. Governmental activities is really your general fund, your TIP district, and then your business type activities is your sewer operations. It shows that last year total assets were about 141 million. This year we have about 157 million. So overall, the growth in total assets, a lot of that growth is really related to capital asset areas. You can see in your business type activities, overall, you can see that when we look at the non-depreciable, that increased from about 8.6 million to about 22 million. A lot of that relates to a lot of the enhancements or improvements within the work in process of the sewer utility. So overall total assets are up. A lot of these assets are really designed to provide services to the residents of the village. Then if we look at liabilities also increased. Primarily, if you look at the long-term obligations, some of the long-term obligations related to debt issued with the Clean Water Fund for some of the enhancements or improvements to the sewer plant. And then if you look at the bottom, net position, it really shows over time, is your net ownership increasing or decreasing? And you can see last year it was about 65.6 million, this year about 69. So what that indicates is you're reinvesting in the community, you're reinvesting in the infrastructure and the overall operations of the village. If you turn to pages 5 and 6, it goes through both government activities and business type activities, but it shows that overall, as we saw on the last page, our net position increased by about 3.8 million, of which 2.8 related to government activities and about 900,000 to business type. So just kind of reflects the change in your operations. Then we turn to page 7. Page 7 are for governmental funds. And this is how you adopt your annual budget. So, the first couple statements are really just looking at yourself as if you were accounting for all transactions related to assets, et cetera. Now, when we turn to page 7, now we're focusing on how you adopt your annual budget. So the most significant fund is your general fund. You can see within the general fund, you have about 47 million of assets. A lot of that relates to the tax roll and the amounts you're collecting for other entities. But the key thing is really looking at your fund balances within your general fund. You're currently about a 2.6 million, and we'll see that when we get into a financial statement, but how that represents. But it certainly indicates that the village is in a good financial position when you look at that percentage as a percentage of your operating budget. The other funds you can see are debt service and stormwater are major, and there's other funds that are called other non-major funds that aren't as significant. So if you look at the activities from last year to this year, if you look at overall in your fund balances, last year you presented about 11.3 million, this year about 9.1. Main reason is some of the capital outlay. Stormwater utility did about a little over 2 million of capital related to infrastructure improvement. So once again, reinvesting in, as we indicated before. So then we turn to page 9. Page 9 looks at changes. So you'll see the same 3 funds. You can see your general fund, which is your general operating fund, did have a change in fund balances of a positive $23,275. When we look at the budget to actual, you'll notice that the general fund had a very strong budget year. You're able to transfer about 600,000 out of your general fund into a capital project fund that wasn't budgeted, but because of the operating results of the general fund, you were able to do that in the current year. Here you can see in the stormwater where I indicated a little over 2 million in capital outlay. It was actually about 2.3 million of capital outlay related to stormwater projects. So if you look at total capital for the village as a whole, about 3.4 million in your governmental funds. We turn to page 11. Page 11 is a synopsis of your budget to actual in your general fund. Your general fund is your general operating fund. It shows that from a revenue perspective, your budgeted was about 6.6 million of revenues. Actual revenues came in about 6.7. So you had a positive government general fund revenue variance of about 176,000. So that's a positive revenue side. Then if we look at your expenditures, amended budget was about 6.9. You actually came in about 5.9. So you had some surplus there. And then if you look at your other financing sources, you can see you budgeted a $250,000 transfer out. You actually transferred 850, which is at 600,000 for capital, bringing you to a change in fund balance of about 23,000 that we saw on the prior page. But what's important here is you're able to fund some capital out of the general fund. And overall, the general fund, when you look at your fund balance, so you're currently about 2.6. You look at about a $6 million operating expenditure budget. Certainly, when you look at that percentage, it indicates that you are in a strong position and able to handle various changes in operations and contingencies that you need from the general fund. So overall, the general fund continues to be in a strong position, as we talked about last year. So no real changes there in your general fund position. Any questions on your governmental funds? Okay, then the next couple of statements are your proprietary or your sewer utility. And as I indicated, here it's a little bit easier to see because you have comparatives, but you can see some of the capital assets additions. If you look in the middle of the page, last year you were about 48 million. This year, about 56.7. So a lot of that is still in work in process as you're finishing the projects. But you can see the increase in your capital assets. Overall, continue to have a strong cash position, about 2.6 million. You also have some restricted cash for your sewer utility. So when you look at your sewer utility, no real concern with respect to your assets. If you look at your liabilities, you do see an increase in liabilities with the revenue fund bonds area. Once again, that's to fund the capital and will be paid from user charges in the future. If you look at the bottom of the page, your net position did grow from about 39.7 to about 40.7. So a growth in net position. If we turn to page 13, you can see charges for services, your operating costs, and overall about a change in net position. That kind of shows your growth in net position in the current year. Then if we turn to page 14, what's important with a sewer utility or any type of proprietary is what cash are we generating from operations and how are we using that cash? So you can see cash provided remained fairly constant, about 2.6 million in the current year. How'd you spend that cash? You acquired capital assets of about 9.1. Issued long-term debt of about 8.2, and then paid down some principal and interest. So obviously with some of the debt service, increasing debt service, you'll have to manage an increasing debt load for your user charges, but overall, you did have a positive cash and cash equivalents, and currently have about 4,231,000.
You said we should increase?
No, I'm saying monitor based on the capital and your budget related to debt service. You should monitor. Your debt service is going to go up, obviously, through the project. So what you want to do is you want to make sure long-term you're maintaining a positive cash flow so you're able to cover your debt service and reinvest. Any questions on that? Overall, no real concerns from our perspective. In the areas, obviously, managing the sewer utility with the additional debt service. And there's a second, yes.
Maybe go ahead. Go ahead.
Second document, which is a staple document, should be inside that binder. This is really kind of a communication that we make with the board. And
At the back.
it is required under auditing standards and government auditing standards to communicate to the board the results of
In the back. Oh, you got it. Yeah.
So, the first accounting policies, no significant new accounting policies were adopted. There are going to be some additional accounting policies that will be adopted in future years. With COVID, the GASB, who sets the standards, did delay some of the implementation of some of the standards, so you were able to delay the implementation, but there will be some new standards. Probably will not have a significant impact on the village, but you might see different accounting policies adopted in next year's audit. The next part talks about accounting estimates. Accounting estimates are things that the village estimates or someone else estimates. So the key estimates are how long assets last, so how long a road lasts or how long a building lasts without major renovations is an estimate, along with the Wisconsin Retirement System information and the allowance for uncollectible accounts. So all these are estimates. We do review the estimates. They're reasonable, appropriate, and no significant concern from our perspective. The rest from disclosures through adjustments, through difficulties. If you go through the next couple pages, pages 2 and 3, the audit, we did not have any difficulties in completing the audit. We were very appreciative of the staff here at the village. Obviously with COVID, a lot of this audit was done remotely, getting information. And as an auditing firm, we've been so used to being on site, so working with the staff here and getting information probably added a little bit to their workload, but we appreciate all the support and assistance we did receive and complete the audit. And with that, I'll entertain any questions anyone have. From our perspective, the audit went pretty well. And like I said, appreciate the staff here at the village. Any questions?
And we appreciate the staff also. Thanks, Chris, and anyone. And Andrea is on, and we got Dan is on. Dan, do you have any comments? Hi.
Hold on a second.
There we go.
Oh, okay, I'm off. No, I don't have any comments at this time, but it does sound very positive of what we're doing in the village. I know in previous years, we may have had a couple of areas we had to look at a little closer, but certainly sounds like we're trending in the right direction.
Any comment, Mike?
Yeah, every year that I've sat up here and we've done this, it's been a policy or a procedure thing that was not proper. And now I don't see it this year. Did we correct something that was done improperly in the past?
Yeah, I mean, everything went well from our perspective. I mean, the village is continuing to monitor and make some revisions, so we do not have any concern
Okay.
In the current year.
So all of our accounting procedures are proper and
Yep.
correct in the way we're doing cash in, cash out? Okay, good.
And obviously integrating an outside accountant certainly helps from our perspective and helps the village manage that.
Good. Glad to hear that. Congratulations to all of you.
Diane, could I speak? This is Catherine
Of course.
Andrea.
Sure.
Yeah, I would also like to say, pleased with the fact that we have no findings. That's pretty rare. And I think you should, the staff should be commended for that. That it shows that they really worked hard on the internal controls this year and changing how things are authorized and how things are posted and things like that are really a big improvement. So hopefully through the changes with the pandemic and working, at home, we kept up with that because the software helps a lot with, authorizing as the workflow transactions go through. And from the top all the way through, I think I've seen a great concern about internal controls and a big improvement there. So I want to commend the staff also on that.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Questions,
I don't have any.
comments, none?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
With that, we're going to close the presentation. Any luck with Ted, Brian? Okay, well, we're going to proceed. Everybody's ready to do that?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to go into our regular board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:19. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Dan Campion. Bill, he's
Present.
there you go. Bill Hopkins. Mike Coolott.
Here.
Dennis Favor. Ted Kamek is excused unless he decides he is able to join us. And then Ron Gant. Okay, everyone is present with the exception of Ted. Open meeting compliance. This was posted on Friday.
Yep, yeah, well, approximately 1:15.
Mhm. Any change in the sequence? No, it's not working. Okay, we're going to open it up to citizens' comments. I have 3 names. I'm not sure if you signed for whether you want to speak or if you are just signing in. Stormy?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the board regarding to the no weight rules of a Silver Lake. For what it's worth, I grew up on Lake Shangri-La. I lived on Silver Lake for 42 years. And been involved with the volunteer DNR lake testing. I'm a member of the Silver Lake Sportsman Club and been involved in the Protection Association since it started about 20 years ago. The reason I've been bringing this up is the confusion that's caused that Silver Lake, I believe all the other lakes in
You're right.
Salem Lakes is standardized at 2:30 PM to 10 AM for no wait.
It's dusk.
Yeah, dusk, I'm sorry. Silver Lake is an exception to that, 7 PM instead. And I remember when the Salem Lakes was combined for a standard. It was the intention to standardize the rulings in all the lakes to make it easier for the residents as well as the law enforcement to have standardization on all the rules. And that was done pretty much except for Silver Lake. So, I'm asking that you consider standardizing Silver Lake to conform with the, no wait for the balance of the.
Okay, thank you. Rick, of course,
Oh, can I add one thing?
surely.
One of the concerns going back 30 years ago when this was all started was the fishermen. And there was a motion made and passed unanimously by the Silver Lake Sportsman's Club on the July meeting in support of standardizing the no wait to dusk.
All right, Rick,
Also here in support of the change and wait. I'm a homeowner on Silver Lake and also involved in the Silver Lake Protection Association with the Army and many others, and just here in support of the bill.
all right, thank you. And Kyle, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'm one of the vice presidents of the Silver Lake Protection Association. I too am in favor of standardizing it, just to make things more simple. A lot of confusion out there on the lake. I called in one time because I've been yelled at by fishermen for making a wake after 7 o'clock, but I called into the village hall and talked to people, and they told me that on Silver Lake you can make a wake until 8:30. Apparently I was wrongly informed, so just here to observe.
Okay. Anyone else? Did you have any comments? I didn't give you a chance to get on the list. Okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I'm going to move into presentations, petitions, communications, and other agency reports. Number 1, discussion and possible action on July 2020 raise order issued for the property located at 12020 254th Avenue. Priscilla did not make it, but
President, if I could just make a couple of comments.
Sure.
Obviously, the board had approved this raise order last month. I know that a few calls was made by the property owners and different people. At the end of the day, at this point, everyone I have spoken to has supported what we're trying to do. She did make, I believe the clerk received a letter in the mail and has made numerous attempts once you agreed to put it on the agenda. We've had no luck in making any contact with her. It's entirely up to the board how I'd like to proceed. I would like to proceed on with the raise order.
Do we need a motion in it?
no, because we already did, vote, so we won't have to do anything on that.
Right.
Does anyone have any, why is this not working?
I can't get mine working.
Yours isn't working either? It worked at home. Mike?
What I'm going to say is, I've had several conversations about this property with Mike over the years, not just in the last week or 2 or last month, but over the years. And I do have a property for sale about 3 doors away. And it's been a challenge trying to sell that house because of that. People don't come in and drive right to one house and look and say, oh, I like this. They look in the neighborhood. And when you see something like this, 3 doors down, you're like, what the hell am I getting into? So I'm glad to see we're finally doing something, and we need to continue on this path. And congratulate all you guys for what you've done, and let's keep it going.
And
It's deplorable.
the reason this was brought up is because Ms. Hanson is the one that wanted to speak tonight. And Shannon has called her and documented it. So it's for the record too. I would like you to add that it was, that you had tried to get a hold of her for the meeting and let her know that she was on the agenda. All right, so number 2, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2020-08-17, an ordinance repealing and amending certain provisions of chapter 330 of the municipal code of the village of Salem Lakes relating to the waters of Silver Lake.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll
Second,
second that motion.
Okay,
give it to Dan.
all right, we'll give it to Dan. Hopkins and Campion. Go ahead, Dennis.
I just wanted to say there's a couple of things involved in this motion. There's one in with the water height for the slow no wake when there emergency. And the other one is with regard to the
Correct.
sunset.
Dennis will give me just a second. I did speak with, throughout the process, I think, Faber has also spoken with Jason, I believe it is, from the DNR. We talked about the, slow no wake levels and how they're adopted by the village. Obviously, several years ago, as a town, we went through all of our lakes, but did not involve Silver Lake in our high water, where the village has the authority to shut it down for slow no wake. So we went through the historical procedure through Lindrecker and R.H. Smith, and we did it in Silver Lake. We put up the marker by the Marina Restaurant, what it's called now. We did talk about it. I know the board has had a chance to review it and talking with Jason. He said he would like to see, he loves that we went through that time and expense to do it because those make it very simple. We wanted to know how we checked them to make sure that they were still calibrated. We went through the whole process. So he asked if we could get all those lakes on one document, and then I would resubmit it to him. And then when I asked Richmond, they came up about the Slow No Wake, if we could just clean up, make that one document. And obviously, you know, I know that there was some confusion out there because people had asked me, I've had 2 calls today that said, well, there's no changes to the ordinance. It really is, because it takes out the paragraph that relates to Silver Lake being a separate time zone.
Yep.
So it just relates it all back to the dusk till 10 a.m. I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
And that is the reason that there was a different time element, you know, for Silver Lake. It was by popular demand back then. When we did all of the, you know, the lakes in the town of Salem, we were asked to leave Silver Lake alone because Silver Lake was being patrolled by the village, at that time, the village of Silver Lake. And that's, we left that at 7 o'clock. And I have received a number of phone calls from people that are not in favor of changing it. And their primary concern is safety. And what I mean by that is Silver Lake is most certainly our most premier lake that we have in the village of Salem Lake. And it has substantially more boat traffic than our other lakes. I mean, even if you were to add the number of lakes at Camp and Hooker and what have you, there's probably more boats on a Sunday and Saturday on Silver. And these people felt that if it stayed at 7, it would give those people an opportunity to get off the lake while it was still sunlight, but it's still sunlight at sunset to some degree as well. But primarily they're concerned with safety. I said, if you're really concerned, be here at the meeting. They're not here, so apparently they're not that concerned either anymore. And
It will be nice though to have all the lakes the same thing, even though we don't have water patrol. It's nice to have everything the same for the sheriff,
well,
everyone
it
else.
makes it easier, but
It is. You know what? I think it's a good idea. Do you have any other comments?
well, I did talk to the president of the Silver Lake Sportsman's Club, and he did say that you mentioned it at the end of the meeting, but it really is not in their minutes or anything. But he didn't have an objection one way or the other. He felt that it should be a village board decision.
Madam President.
Yes.
So we have a sign at the Cogswell Manor, and it has the hours. It also has the restrictions and whatnot. We don't necessarily have one over at the Silver Lake Marina that details as much information. Is it the plan, depending upon how this vote goes, to put something similar over there as well?
Well, that's private property.
Yeah, we own no land over there.
I thought we had.
One at the DNR.
I thought we had, yeah, there is one by the DNR, but I thought we had an agreement with him over at the.
We had an agreement with Brian where he was more than willing, and maybe he would be willing to do something like that as far as posting when the lake levels are up, slow no wake.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we work with Brian.
But more so time, depending upon how the vote goes.
And I think we could talk with Brian. I don't think if we had a small sign made up that just listed the times, I don't think he would have any issue with that. I could work with him.
Yeah, I don't think he would either. And I wouldn't be opposed to spending a couple extra bucks and putting a regular sign there if he would allow that,
Sure.
where all the ordinances relating to the
That's a
lake
pretty
would be
large sign.
identified.
That's a pretty large sign once you get into all the ordinances, but I know that we need to update the Silver Lake one, and obviously we'll take care of that. Depending upon
So sort of related, what we did on Camp and Center Lake is we put up flag poles at our boat landings.
I was just gonna say
And a
that.
green flag indicates that the lake is open for high-speed recreation for making a lake
I actually
or
like
wake. And one of the problems that we had are the people that live on the lake don't go to the boat landings where the signs are that identify, that say the lake is closed to making a wake. So we do it with flag poles. And
I like
put them on
that.
both Camp and Center.
And just so the audience and everyone is aware, the CCLRD, the Camp Center Lake Rehabilitation District funded that. That wasn't a tax.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Really.
But I'm gonna bring it up at the Hooker Lake one, I'll tell you, because I like that idea. Because I get the phone calls because they don't, we have no way of notifying people that there's a slow no wake.
Right.
I mean, everybody can judge themselves
If
and
you're on the
stuff, but
lake, you can see it. You just look at our boat landings and there's a big green flag
Yeah.
that means you make a wake. Or it's yellow and that means slow and awake.
all right. So with that, we have Hopkins and Campion and no other questions. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. You're welcome. And you're free to leave whenever you want. I'm not telling you to, of course. A lot of people like to leave after their item, but you're welcome to stay, of course. Public Works, discussion and possible action on payment request number 15 by CDE Smith Construction in the amount of $585,489.13 for the wastewater treatment plant regionalization
I'll
project.
move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, well, he beat you, Faber and Kulat. Any questions?
I have a question, if I could, please.
Sure.
Could the Mike Murdoch give us an estimate of how much completion is there at the facility now? Is it 70%, 80%?
Brad just updated me, 85%.
85%.
And at what point are we looking to switch over to make Silver Lake the pumping station versus a treatment center?
That'll be November, December.
Okay.
When a new one's
Substantial
done.
completion, I know we talked about in end of October. Hopefully some of those final cut in and testing through Brad and his staff. We can get that done pretty quick.
Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, discussion and possible action on payment request number 2 by Payne and Dolan in the amount of $52,937 for this 2020 sanitary sewer and street rehabilitation program.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
That's all second.
Okay, Hopkins. Okay, so it's actually Kulat and Hopkins. All in favor?
Question.
Oh, question, sorry.
So where are we at with the paving on Second Street in Silver Lake?
So we just got an updated schedule on today. We're doing some, all the concrete curb and gutter repairs and Arboretum Woods. The next, I think it was 8 days. We do have a September 26th completion date.
For a second.
So they'll be moving pretty quick here.
Okay.
I will send you guys that schedule in case I have those dates a little off, but I'll send you the schedule so you can have it or in case you can call.
Thank you.
All right, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, discussion and possible action on resolution 2020.08-27, a resolution confirming the 2019 compliance maintenance annual report for the Salem Lakes Utility District.
Motion approved.
Kulat and Gant.
Question.
Question, yes.
So Brad, on the one area that we took, went from an A to a B, the biosolids?
That's the next one. That's the Salem facility.
This one's for Salem, next one's Silver.
Okay,
This one's Silver Lake.
my mistake.
No problem. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, discussion and possible action on the resolution 2020.08-28, a resolution confirming the 2019 compliance maintenance annual report for the Salem Lakes Utility District for the Silver Lake facility.
Motion approved.
We have a motion to approve by Kulat
Second.
and seconded by Faber. Question. Bill?
I think I go back to the Salem facility here because I'm looking at biosolids, metals.
Yep.
Okay, was there any reason that identified why we went over the limit on those?
That's a high quality limit. It's actually, if you were gonna spread the sludge on crops to be eaten by humans as opposed to livestock. So they just throw that out there. We actually have used pads in our facility. We're not required to do it, but they just want you to be aware that we didn't need that high quality for molybdenum.
Interesting.
So whoever's eating out too much molybdenum, stop it.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, discussion possible action on termination and release of public easement rights. For a grinder pump, the village is no longer obligated to maintain. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
For all the grinder pumps that we have out there, mainly Yaws, Silver Lake.
Belmar?
Each grinder pump, we have an easement to get us from the road right away to the grinder pump station itself, if we need to. This one, the house was rebuilt in 1990, and by ordinance, if they rebuild the house, tear the house down, rebuild it, the grinder pump then becomes theirs to maintain. So we no longer need this
Oh,
easement. And I'd be happy to give away as many more grinder pumps as we can.
I move to approve.
Faber and Gant. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Planning and zoning, discussion and possible action on resolution 2020.08-29. A resolution accepting final dedication of public improvements for the Meadows of Mill Creek subdivision.
Motion approved.
Second.
It's Kulat and Hopkins. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk's office, consideration and possible action on the following. Approval of applications filed with the clerk. Kristen Chapman, Juliana Marsh, Grace Gamet, Skylar Murphy, McKenna Calise, and Julia Sandberg.
Motion to approve.
Hopkins?
Second.
And Campion. Any questions on any of these? Motion to approve is all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Approval of applications filed with the clerk for cigarette and tobacco licenses, Dolgan Corp. LLC.
Motion to approve.
Cool, and I'm going to put you as seconding it. All right, Campion, there you go. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes for the regular board meeting on July 13th.
Motion to approve.
Hopkins and Faber. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. Motion carries unanimously. 4, approval of vouchers. Accounts payable was $1,793,351. After 2 payrolls, we have $1,960,769.08.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Faber and Campion. Any questions on the vouchers? All in
No.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any requests for future agenda items? Who paved the library, or who seal coated the library?
I want to say that was Asphalt Services out of Union Grove.
It looks really nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can tell if it's decent for a change.
Right now, we're looking to see if we can get an electronic sign put out in front now that those evergreens and others are gone. So it becomes more noticeable for the traffic on 83.
Yeah, they talked about that when I was on the board there. So
And I
good.
might also add 2 years ago, we upgraded the parking lot lighting to LEDs.
Hmm.
And as of right now, when you compare the dollars spent on electricity to 2019 compared to 2015, we're looking at about a $6,000 savings.
Wow,
100% is that?
It's about a third.
Really?
Yeah.
nice.
Steve's got the same.
Do we need a committee of the whole? Oh, Mike.
Sorry, I wasn't.
No, that's all right. I was concentrating.
We add to the next meeting agenda. One of them be the sale of one surplus ambulance to the fair board. We're going to loan it to them this weekend so they have an ambulance for their races. But we've had this 2001 Ford E450. We're going to take to auction, but we've used it a couple times in reserve. We're getting ready to take to auction. I got an offer for it. So we had board already voted to sell that surplus many moons ago when we got ready to send it to auction. Second thing I need is that my mistake by not getting put on the agenda for closed session. I'd like to have a meeting in regard to talk about the contract agreement for Paddock Lake.
And that was on me. I didn't want it on this month, so I apologize.
Can it wait or do you need
I won't be ready until.
the next month?
Yeah, I think it needs to wait.
Okay,
In addition, I'm gonna leave town like in a hurry. I have emergency at home I need to go home for.
okay.
And so I would work on that. I'm gonna go ahead and draft the contract as we'd like to see it.
Yes,
Run through Mike and Rich Schulze to see whatever changes we need. We basically kind of have an idea talking to Chris and Mike, how we're gonna, how we can come up with a mill rate. It'll be up to you all to determine how high you want that to go. But there are other things that the fire department wants and that the administrator wants in regard to the fire code enforcement that we'd like to see in this contractual agreement also. So those are things we've got to get worked out.
all right. So right now, as it stands, Mike,
Well, we need to meet, I think it'll take more time. I don't know if we're going to tie up the regular September meeting. We do want to have Strand come in and give the board presentation. You know, we're almost a year, as Brad just mentioned, we're 85% into this, obviously. And I'm doing a lot of the digging and doing a lot of stuff, a lot of their findings. And you guys have been great to help us with some overages and approvals and getting some of these change orders done. But obviously we are over, so we would like to have them come and give you a presentation. Obviously, there's going to be, whether you do it at a special meeting, I think the presentation is probably going to be a half hour. You know, so we want to make sure that plenty of time. I think it's going to go much longer than 10 minutes.
why don't we make it for 6 o'clock for the September?
If we could do that at a special meeting, because there is a change order that once he goes over the presentation, that we'll need a vote on the board to do some of those changes.
How about at 6 o'clock next on September? How about you, Dan?
I'm good with that.
Dennis, Ronnie?
Are they?
Yeah, I think that would be better. Okay, go ahead.
Just so I'm clear, so you're gonna have a special meeting at 6 o'clock before the regular meeting?
Yes.
On the second Monday?
Yes. And then we could bring up that, we'll have a closed session for the fire contract too.
After the special or on the regular meeting?
After the regular,
We'd like to do Strand before the regular meeting if we could.
right, 6 o'clock, and then we'll do the closed session after the regular meeting.
Yeah, you can fit that in an hour, you think?
What day are we talking about again?
The second Monday of September.
Yes, okay, that's better. I think we will work.
You don't need us to vote on it that night.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so then we can put it on the ladder of the meeting then.
Because of all that's contractual, we definitely want to be in closed session and have some discussion.
Okay,
Obviously, I believe it's going to be the beginning of negotiation because
right.
obviously the board can come up with all they want. You know, and I think you guys have always been fair and open with Paddock Lake. We want to give them plenty of time to review it and come up with, because both the cost and I'm more concerned about some of the wording of the things the chief's looking for. And I know that what we've struggled with in the last couple of years.
What about budget?
Budget, just sent it out today to department heads to start that process. So we'll start working on dates.
So we'll be planning on some meetings in September.
Correct.
Okay, fellas? All right,
We can start that discussion at the September board meeting.
perfect. All right, so as of right now, we will not have a committee of the whole next week. Okay. Library board meeting is August 24th, Park Commission, Tuesday, the 1st.
Can I add that just a different date? That's due to the concert in the park, right, Doug? You guys switched the park meeting because of concerts, is that why? Yeah.
Yes.
That's not its usual day.
Oh, Tuesday, right. It's usually Thursday. Regular board meeting, Monday, September 14th. And committee of the whole, it might well take place September 21st. Okay.
Madam President?
Yep.
We also have a meeting on Friday, the 21st with the Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission
Okay.
out in Waterford.
All right. Yes, Mike?
Before we adjourn, I just want to give a shout out to our public works guys.
Hey.
The way they handled the effects of this last storm. I mean, it was pretty dramatic. I know those guys are out there working their tails off, and I know Mike's gotten a few calls from people thanking him, but unfortunately, something goes bad, everybody is up in arms. Something goes good and nobody thanks you, but pass on to all the guys down there, the sewer guys, I mean, everybody just pitched in. I know you guys in the fire department were running like crazy.
With their first call public works.
And the office here was fielding a lot of phone calls too.
Everybody.
Every department in this village, from phone calls to fire
I think the
station.
public works, they were awesome.
They are.
It was brutal. It was a long week. I know it was for the guys. I know it was for the staff.
It still is for me.
A lot of phone calls, both good, bad.
Yeah.
With all that said, I tell people all the time, people ask me, how are things in Salem Lakes? I said, it was wonderful. We have, I think, the best staff, the best employees. We've got the best of everything. I've never seen this village, even though we're a town, run as well as it has in the last year and a half, whatever. I want to commend every one of you for everything you do. I mean, it makes me proud.
Statement, I didn't during the audit report, but I can tell you that, with Bubba Chris, Shannon, and every village staff that's involved in any part of that. And I also want to really thank Kathy Andrea. She's the one that came up with a lot of those flow charts for us, If this person buys it, this is really needs to, who signs.
And we're adhering to it. Imagine that.
And it's working.
Everybody in the village, the fire department, every department, everybody wants it the right way. And so I wanted to thank Kathy, just to thank her for all her help. She was, I don't know if she's still there.
No, she's gone.
She was very, very helpful in helping us write those procedures. So, and all the other staff from every department at that. So that was very nice.
You guys are doing a great job. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike, because I know all the trees, I couldn't believe you guys picked up the trees on the side of the road for people if they dragged them out to the road.
They're still going.
I know we are down just because it's a county road, we still do it though. They asked me that. They go, because I'm a county road and I have my branches out there. What's going on?
By rules, we're not allowed to work within the county road right away.
Okay.
I just have one question for Mike Slover with regard to the people that complained that the alarm didn't go off. Has that been resolved with the county?
Yes, well, a couple things. Chief of Car contacted emergency management the following, first Monday?
Happened on Monday, this was Tuesday.
Right, so it was on Tuesday morning. Contact emergency management. They had made arrangements to go ahead and do a test. Did do a test, siren activated. I was probably 100 yards from that siren the night the storm came through. I don't recall it going off, but here is why. First off, outside sirens are for notifying people that are outside, doing outside activity, that there is a storm approaching. Doesn't mean they even know what it is. There's no announcement with it. And Andy, like I think you were telling me, they do announce it over there. However, it's for outside activities only. We believe the storm came through so fast, developed so fast, it came through the area, it took the power line down fed this area to this siren over here. So we heard sirens going off in Antioch. You heard sirens going off, you think, in Wilmot. I can't recall or tell you if the siren went off in Trevor, but I believe it did because it didn't have power. Okay, now it would cost a lot of money to put a backup generator for that.
Yeah.
Backup battery system.
Yeah.
And that's why the use of modern technology, telephones, radio, weather radios, all those things are more, in fact, vitally important as compared to the tornado sirens.
Yeah, my phone went off way before our siren did,
We spent a lot of time reviewing human time frame.
because I didn't even know it was
Gust of
coming.
wind came, it blew out long before the tornado. When the tornado was actually seen on the radar, it was an actual tornado spotted in radar. It was 3 minutes before it touched down. So it was spotted, National Weather Service told the Emergency Services Center to set the sirens off. The initial gust of wind came through, blew out the power. Joint Services set off the emergency sirens. The ones that still had power went off.
Yeah, ours went off.
And then, you know, it would have went off another 2 minutes later. None of them would have probably went off because none of them have backup generators, backup power. Reed retrievers didn't go off at weather, and I'm not sure about Wilmot. I've heard half the people telling me it did, they didn't, they heard them, they didn't hear them, they were faint. There's a lot of sirens in this area, but once the power went out, and again, that should be a very, very, in today's world, today's technology, a very last resort. That's truly unfortunate because that storm had been warned for 5 hours, I believe.
Yep.
Coming through Iowa. I mean, there
No
was.
sugar. I see, I didn't even know it.
But the important thing that I want to make everybody aware of is we have no control over that.
Absolutely correct.
We have no control over that.
That's what I told the
So if it
lady that
doesn't
called
go
me.
off, that's not our responsibility. But I do have a recording of the sirens. Now, I don't know if it was Antioch or Wilmot or where, but
Yours
I heard
would have been,
sirens,
you
but-
would have heard Wilmot
Where you're living, it could be Silver Lake or.
oh, yeah.
I heard it, mine.
I thought it was coming from Trevor though, but the wind
could
was
have been.
blowing so loud, it was difficult to, but I do have it
Like I
recorded.
said, initially it came off as we were going to have 80 to 90 mile an hour straight line winds. So that was planned for the whole day. The initial tornado was in the- and they sent off the morning.
And right before the first raindrop came, the first wind came, we had already evacuees from the trailer park in the fire station. Then we didn't move down to the basement right away, we put them in the training room. But when the power went off, we got the tornado sign on my phone, we got them down in the basement.
Yep.
So there's no way that our backup power could be connected to this?
No.
No, because it's all controlled by somebody at someplace else, right?
We talked at one time, a long time ago, about having the, when the Trigger Fire Station is active. Generator out there.
Oh my, yeah, my
Generator, that's fine. And, they said, well,
Well, the Trevor generator we brought over here, that's the one we have at this building.
But that was 3-phase power, that 83 phase, that's a big siren.
that's a big amp draw on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, I
We're
got,
very fortunate, no one got hurt, and you did an excellent job. That's the important thing.
do you know how often Kenosha County Emergency Services looks to see where a new siren would go, for example, in the vicinity of Highway 50 and B? Now that we're getting communities up in there,
Right.
there is no siren.
Nope. I do not know. I know that the current ones, I believe, are, was done through the fire stations
Right.
many moons ago. They were initially set up with a civil defense, and as things progress, that's what they're used for. But it should be, obviously, I think for emergency services, for no matter what you're doing in life, you should have more than relying on one source.
Surely.
But it's unfortunate if someone is sitting at home relying on that siren before they decide to respond. And we know for a fact that it was less than 3 minutes from the time the tornado was actually identified. Because straight line winds can be 100 miles an hour, it's not a tornado. Once it gets that twist or that uplift, then it becomes a tornado. That sparks a siren. Even if it had been deemed not a tornado, we would have still had 80+ mile an hour winds.
Did the trailer court come to the fire department?
Actually, the trailer park did be back.
Yeah, we had 12 people, 15 people.
They didn't even, it's gone.
Spawned off of phones, TVs.
It was so quick. I mean,
It really was.
my tree's 4 feet and I didn't even hear it go down.
And I just showed Diane earlier the
How
video
quick?
that I took. I was outside and I could see the clouds look funny. And it was sprinkling and I could hear the siren and I looked to the left and when I looked back, I
Yeah.
couldn't see across the lake and it hit me within minutes and I only had like 3 steps to go in the
Yeah, that was definite.
rec room. And I was soaked. I mean, totally soaked. It came on me unbelievably fast.
So good job, guys. Thank you, everyone, girls, guys, everyone, thank you. With that, we're going to move into a closed session, and I need a motion pursuant to state statute 19.85 parentheses 1, parentheses C, for purposes of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This closed session is relative to the clerk position. Do I have a motion to move? Hopkins and Kulat? Okay, Bill?
Yes.
Mike? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Ronnie?
Yep.
And Dan? Okay, all right, Dan.
I will call in. Hey, Mike. What number do you want me to use to call in for the closed session, or should I just use your phone? Yes, I am. 262-298-5. 5720, okay. Yeah, why don't you do that? Okay, I will.